Satnam and welcome back to the channel. My name is Gobind and this is your channel for grace. Thank you guys so much for being here live, and thank you to those of you that are watching the replay. I am going to just check that the sound is okay because I was having a couple of issues. Looks like we're doing good, and excited today to talk about the astrology of the week. We're going to go through the charts on the screen, and I'm also going to do a tarot and oracle reading for the message for the week for us. So we were just live last night with our Virgo new moon solar eclipse ritual celebration, and we got a pretty powerful message. We got the Harpy Eagle yesterday, and that was really it fit really well the energy of that eclipse. And so this week we're going to talk about what are some of the what's happening, the major things, and it's obviously a big week because the sun is entering Libra today, and today is the fall equinox. So it's there's a lot going on in terms of the energy and the relationship between the sun, the earth, and life here on earth. So before we dive in, let me remind you, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed, if you're enjoying the content. Also, make sure to download my free moon astrology guide, which will tell you what your psychic gifts are based off of your moon sign. It enters you into my email list, and I send out a weekly moon magic report. And that report tells you basically the horoscope for the week ahead, but it's from Wednesday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Tuesday, and it's in the written format. And in this email is the newsletter as well. So anything coming up, any events, any workshops, any courses coming up, I always post them on that newsletter. And then also tomorrow we have our last class from the Sacred Coordinates, the Map free mini course. Can you believe it's been 4 weeks now? A little crazy. But tomorrow's class number 4. So what we covered so far is in class number 1, we talked about what it means to know your soul's blueprint, why that's important. In class number 2, we talked about how do we actually integrate the teachings into our everyday lives, what that means, what that looks like, what that can look like. Also, last week we talked about devotion and what that actually means. What is devotion, and what does it mean to be devoted to your path or devoted to, your unique mission and destiny? And then this week we're going to be talking about a concept we call aligned by design, and it's also the name of a new program that we're going to be launching with Ashley. And it's going to be personalized. So we're excited to give you all the details about that. We're going to give the details tomorrow in our last class as we share the concept aligned by design itself. So we're super excited about that. And here we go. Let me say hi to everybody that's in the chat. Hello, Raessa. Hello, Linda. Stick and Stones. Welcome in. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to do a screen share so we can actually look at the astrology chart here. And obviously the most important thing about today is that the sun is going to enter into Libra. So normally I do this video around 6 p.m. Pacific, but I'm doing it early because I have the equinox ritual to do with the Starseed members. So we're going to do that tonight. If you are in the Starseed membership, make sure that you RSVP and you join us. We get to just celebrate and also pull cards together. It's a group ritual and we kind of co-create it. So come join us for that if you're in the membership. And if you're not in the membership, come join us for this event. You actually get a free week with the Starseed membership. So you can check it out and see if you like it before you officially commit. And okay, so that's what's happening today. The sun is entering into Libra. So I'm going to fast forward and I'll tell you exactly when this is happening. It's like literally almost there. We're just within 2 hours from the sun officially entering Libra. But today itself represents the fall equinox. And whenever we have an equinox on the planet, we are seeing the equal amount of day and night. So there's a balancing effect. This is when we feel ourselves in the center. So the fall season in terms of the earth encompasses 3 astrological signs. It is Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. So those 3 energies are the ones that kind of activate this energy of the fall. Libra is all about, finding balance. Libra is ruled by Venus. Libra is also like love, beauty, connecting. There's a social aspect to it. There's a relationship aspect to it. It's the 7th house, which takes us from the personal houses and into like the interrelational houses. So there's a part of this energy that invites us to connect more with people, partnerships, all kinds of relationships, but they live within this realm. And then Venus, being the ruler herself, she's the goddess of love and beauty, and there's also something about that as well. Libra represents the scales, so it's also about finding the middle ground, always looking for, the I would say making the informed decision, looking at all sides of something, the light and the dark, and figuring out where can we meet in the middle. So I feel like this is also definitely a time for like harmony and diplomacy as well. And as we see Libra season unfold, we'll start to see some of the bigger themes of Libra. And we do a workshop in the Starseed membership, which we're going to do on Wednesday, where I'm going to go deep into the astrology, the basic meaning of Libra season. And we're going to do mini readings. I always do mini readings for everybody that shows up to the live class, about how Libra season is going to affect you in your own chart, in your own individual way. So there's a collective theme, and then there's an individual theme. So that might be something that you're interested in to join us for on Wednesday as well. But in general, when we change seasons, we're changing the frequency. There's a new story that begins to unfold. And after the crazy and intense Virgo season that we've had, it's going to feel much different. I feel like there's definitely going to be a shift. And I think we're going to feel it almost at the exact moment that the sun will enter into Libra, officially exit that 29 degree of Virgo. And that's going to happen around 11:20 a.m. Pacific. And so that's 11, 12, 1, 2:20 p.m. Eastern. So this, late morning, early afternoon for the East Coast, see if anything changes. Like, do you feel different this afternoon than you do this morning? I personally feel like there's going to be a shift, and I think we're going to feel a little bit of a relief. And like there's we're beginning again with a different story, with a different energy, with the fall equinox. And these are portals. The equinoxes and the solstices are definitely portals. This one is more about finding balance, but it's still a powerful energy that we can really tune into and invite into our lives by seeing where we can find more balance in our own personal lives, or where do we feel unbalanced in our own personal lives. So that's the first thing, right? Libra season begins today, and the sun entered Libra. Now, the other thing that's really important, that I'm excited about this, because Mars has now officially entered Scorpio. And I personally have Mars in Scorpio, so I'm going to be having a Mars return. When Mars is in Scorpio, it's intense. It's like there's a strength behind it. There's a relentlessness behind it. This is drive and motivation that pushes forward with like intensity and depth. And so Mars in Scorpio co-rules this sign. So he's in dignity in this sign. And so we can take advantage of the enhanced like drive, but it's different than it's a different kind of a drive than would be Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries would be like, let's take action. Mars in Scorpio to me is more like knowing what you want, going deeper underneath the surface, and then being like, and then making a commitment that that no one can stop you. Like, I really don't think Mars in Scorpio can be stopped once it makes up its mind, once it knows its own truth. And there's like power. It's power, right? Because it's ruled by Pluto as well. So there's power there behind the Scorpio energy. It's the truth. So there's something about that that I feel is very significant, because again, we're going to have the Sun and Mars both at 0 degrees today. And obviously, we know that Neptune is also at 0 degrees, and he was, they played, Neptune and Saturn played a big role in the solar eclipse yesterday. But it's just the 0 degrees significant. Those are the places of power and potential, and like those are the portals, right? The doorways to access like multidimensional awareness and possibilities. So being in this space, Mars is like, yes, let's do this. So I think in some way this may also, because this is the first day of Libra season and the first day of the fall as well, that this may feel very much like we've now gathered the strength to continue moving forward. We're now stronger. We're now determined. We now know exactly what we want. We know we're going to get it. Like, nothing will stop you now. And it's because you did the work. And so Mars is like, all right, now we can focus. So I think that is a little bit of a mirror into like the whole Libra season that we're going to be experiencing for the next 30 days. When I switch over to the next day, which is the 23rd, we see that the Sun makes its official opposition or exact opposition to Neptune, and also a few minutes later, an exact trine to Uranus. So there's two important things about this. Pluto is over here at 1 degree. And so the next day, so the Sun opposes Neptune, and then a few degrees later makes an exact trine to Uranus. This is tomorrow. And then the next day makes the exact trine to Pluto. So that is a grand trine. And that grand trine was there during the eclipse. It's still within orb, but it's getting much closer. And it's going to be pretty much exact between tomorrow and the next day. And then it also activates this kite that points to Neptune. I mean, Saturn is there as well, but Neptune more specifically. So you have to look at what the energy of this Neptune. It's retrograde too, so it's an internal thing. But something about the kite, wherever it points, it's like something about that is really important. So Neptune is intuition, psychic abilities. In Aries, right now he's on the 25th gate, which is universal love, but also shadow of constriction and gift of acceptance. So there's something about we're working through the shadow of constriction so that we can transmute it into acceptance and eventually into like universal love. It's a big theme right now. And we're going to feel that even more strongly as the opposition comes into, into exact alignment. And then what it also does, however, is it creates some kind of confusion. And recently I was listening to the Leo King, and I love how he talks about these kites that form in the sky that it's hard to fly a kite. It's like not an easy thing to fly a kite. So you have to be you have to be kind of strategic with it. You have to kind of know what you're doing. And that is another thing that kind of underlies what the energy is for the week. It's like, we got to know what we're doing. We need to be strategic about it. We have the strength and the determination, but we just need to be very aware and present about it. So when we get to the 24th, that is when we see the exact grand trine between the Sun, Pluto, and Uranus. And a grand trine in air is going to activate the mind. It's going to enhance our ability to think, our ability to process information, and it's all through the mind space. It's also going to bring in new ideas, new insight, sudden epiphanies, and that's the Uranus effect. And then with Pluto, it's going to take us deeper into our relationship with the collective. In Aquarius, it's like the power lives in the individual, but it's in the individual, and then all people being individuals and trusting their own unique individuality and design. where the alignment just kind of falls into place, and it's like the right place at the right time and the right frequency and the right moment, and it just kind of aligns itself, which is actually really cool. But Grand Trine in air, enhancing of mind. This is like there might be a lot of conversations going on this week, a lot of talking, a lot of expressing, a lot of yeah, you could say like debating, you could say just thinking in general. But also like it's a harmonious thing, right? So a trine is a harmonious thing. So it's welcomed insight. It's welcomed conversation. It's like it holds the power to help us move through maybe tough conversations. Maybe we gain new insights that we didn't have before. Maybe we gain new understanding. That's the power of this. So it's new because it's Uranus, it's deep because it's Pluto, and it's heart-centered because it's the sun. So that's what makes this really beautiful. On this day, we also see that the moon makes a conjunction to Mars, and then Mars makes a square to Pluto. So that's like a kind of like one of the heavy hitters in astrology, is it could feel like there's this pressure and tension, maybe anger, maybe like an intensity that just you want to let out. You know that you feel it, and it feels uncomfortable. And I think that all the squares, I always say this, but all the squares want to help us to push through things, and so they bring challenges so that we, take the initiative to make a change or make a difference, or act where we weren't acting before, or do something where before it was stagnant, right? Libra season is definitely not where the sun feels the best. The sun is in fall position in Libra because it's exalted in Aries in the opposite sign. So it's like, okay, the sun is always goes through Libra, and it's a beautiful energy. But it is in fall. So it's like there's other things that may feel stronger than the sun. This is going to be one of those. And you can feel the tension, the pressure, uncomfortableness inside. And I think the best way to get rid of like intense Mars Pluto energy is literally to like get it out of your body. Like I have been actually getting, focusing a lot on my physical body. And actually I've been going to yoga. I've been going to yoga sculpt. I've been going to the hot power fusion. I've been going to all kinds of classes. I've been using my power plate, and I've literally like feel so much stronger now. And I think it may be feeling this, like getting ready for this, like Mars and Scorpio, like, oh, I'm going to feel like super strong, like get strong, not to hurt, but to like own and to like manage. Like you have to be able to manage your own emotions. You have to be able to like work with what is in you. Even if it's emotions that you're feeling that belong to someone else, that whole aspect of like energy flows between all of us. And some of us are much more open to feeling other people's energies. And it does depend on the human design, chart, how that is. But you have to get good at recognizing first, like what's yours and what's not yours. And then second, you got to process that. Like you're responsible for processing through that energy that comes through. You have a sensitivity for a reason, but it's not for it to overtake you and overpower you. There's a strength there. And I think we're being kind of pushed into the strength. But yes, this is the kind of transit that can bring in like really like uncomfortable tension in the collective, and fighting, things like that. It's just it's like too much like pent up stuff that just wants to go out, but other than that, I think that we can find our strength through it. I always promote strength under grace under pressure, or strength under pressure, but it's like the kind of strength where like leads you more towards grace and healing than towards violence, So that's important. So what happens next is that the biggest player, the days leading after, leading towards like the next week's astrology, is the moon. The moon actually enters the Centaurus stargates and passes through the Centaurus stargates. And then on the 27th, enters into Ophiuchus and Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. And then on the 28th, on Saturday, eventually she'll make an alignment with the galactic center. So there's some like, whenever, there's Sagittarius energy, it's always really powerful activations. I don't normally share the stargates for the, this weekly broadcast, but I just wanted to share it here because I feel like they're significant. So that is the flow of this week. So welcome to Libra season. Welcome to the happy fall equinox. Mars entering Scorpio, Sun opposing Neptune. There's a grand trine, there's a grand kite, and then the moon passes through these like powerful portals. And the moon is now waxing gibbous. So this week the moon is in its crescent phase. So in its crescent phase, it'll move through, if we go back to Monday, in its crescent phase, it'll move through Libra, Scorpio, and then Sagittarius. And when it gets to Capricorn, which is not till next week, that's when we get the first quarter square. So we're like watering seeds after the eclipse. We're building, the energy is going to start to slowly build up, and eventually it'll get a first quarter square. And that's when we have to make any adjustments or, somehow clear the energy or figure things out. You don't let things just kind of sit during a first quarter square. You take action and on what needs to be taken action. But that's next week. So this week is just the crescent phase of the moon. The energy is slowly starting to build after that very intense solar eclipse that we just had. So the other thing that I am curious about that I want to look into, and I didn't look into it last week because I just forgot, like when I was live, I didn't remember to look at this, but I wanted to. And it's actually what gene keys the sun is going to be traveling through. So at the end of the week, the sun ends up at 6 degrees, 19 minutes of Libra. Okay, so we're on the 46. And then let's go back to here, right around. So on Thursday, so we're on the 46. And we talked about the 46 because that's the gene key that the eclipse was on. So it was shadow of seriousness, gift of delight, city of ecstasy. So this whole week, like if you're super serious about stuff, you're in the shadow. If you're super serious about things, and I mean the shadow frequency, I mean, it's okay. You can be serious about certain things, but like the energy wants to invite us to play a little bit more, to be in that space of like delight and ecstasy instead of like taking, oh my God, so heavy, so heavy. So that's that's the energy that the sun is holding until Thursday. And then on Thursday, it will enter into the 18th. And that is a really different vibe. So I'm going to pull up the 18th gene key. And it's a different vibe because the 18th gene key is part of the channel of judgment. So it's a little bit interesting. And I'm just kind of looking at this. Let me switch back to here. But okay, the 18th gene key moves from the shadow of judgment to the gift of integrity to the city of perfection. Richard Rudd says, in this 18th gene key, we're really talking about mental judgments. We think about what our life would be like without our mind making these judgments. We can think about what our life would be like without our mind making these judgments when we're just sunk into the inherent perfection of it all. Perfection isn't a judgment, it's a cellular knowing. This is also described as the healing power of the mind. So there's, that grand trine. I think that's going to be really cool because we're stepping into a space of healing at the level of mind, which is something to think about. It's also the codon ring of matter, which reminds us, okay, there's a physical part of being here. So if you're in judgment this week, starting around Wednesday, Thursday, then it's the victim mind. When you're integrity, it's called taking on the world, and the perfection is the bodhisattva. So it's like everything is perfect just the way it is. And that is perfect for Virgo energy because, right, Virgo wants perfection, but perfection is not actually achievable. And so the best we can do is work on improvement and improvement and improvement and constant improvement and improvement and improvement. And then you'll make your life better. Like if you're working on self-improvement, and I'm not saying like fake, like bypassing kind of spiritual, like improvement, self-improvement. I mean like really deep self-improvement where like you face, your own issues inside, like your own shadows. So it's not easy work at all by any means, not easy work, but we're being invited into that. So transmuting, this week we're transmuting seriousness and judgment into delight and integrity. So find integrity this week for yourself and lighten up the energy, like lift it up, and like how can you make it more gentle? And I say be more gentle with yourself. I love that. And and you never know, it might make a big difference. So now let's tune into the Akashic Records and pull some cards to see what the message is for us this week. And I'll check some comments here in the chat. I said, Stick and Stone says, last week you were talking about confrontation and the truth. I pulled the wild boar medicine card this week. Oh, wow. It's about confrontation. Had acupuncture and energy healing last week. I was a kite above the clouds. Nice. Okay. Cried for days. Yes. Releasing, emotional release. All right. So as I tune into the Akashic Records, what you can do is close your eyes and tune into the energy yourself. It's kind of like dropping into a meditative space. And you can set an intention for yourself. Like, what do I need to know right now? All right. From the deep depths of the cosmic mind, I hear a whisper. This whisper calls us inwards towards our essence. A light begins to glimmer at the center of our heart. This is the light of unity, the all-knowing wisdom of the One. Through this door, we open the gates of the Akashic, the magical flower of life. We see our duality. We recognize our sacred trinity. We begin to witness infinite possibilities as we become the observer and the observed. A powerful and luminescent light engulfs our being, and we feel many dimensions all at once. We enter the Akashic Records, protected and loved by all star beings that have accessed these portals before. The records are now open. May wisdom flow, may understanding descend, and may we be blessed with the light of love. All right, I'm going to shuffle some cards and see what we get. Well, that one flew out. Oh my God. You're not going to believe this. It's the Judgment card. That's crazy. That's the stepping off point. So the cool thing about the Judgment card is I like the point of view that Don Miguel Ruiz takes, which is that this is the last judgment, meaning it's the last time you're ever going to judge. Like, we're moving on from that. It's also like a waking up moment because, they're in these sarcophaguses, which is kind of crazy. And they're all gray and they're waking up and they're being called to like awaken, to come out. And it's like an enlightenment in a way. Okay. That's kind of an intense one to start off with. All right. The next card we get, King of Swords. So this is our challenge for the week. It's just to kind of be on our ground, to know our truth and to just kind of hold our ground. And I love this. This is the mental energy. This would be like the most developed and self knowing of your own like belief systems in your own mind. Like nothing can shake you. This would be the most developed of the mental energy of the Swords cards. So this guy knows, you know, his truth. It also represents the sword of truth. So this guy knows his truth. So the challenge is you got to stay in your truth. The challenge is to stay in your truth as everyone is awakening from slumber. Okay, what is the overall theme of the week? Oh, that one flew also, and there's 2 cards. So they're both wands. One of them is the 4 of wands, and the other one is the page of wands. So this one is celebration. It also represents marriage. So I love that. So it could represent not like a soul contract, but not in the same way that you would think of the 2 of cups to represent a soul contract. But this is more of like some aspect of marriage, right? Where like the coming together of something. But essentially it's like celebrate. Like it's happy, it's celebration. And this is like pondering new creations, new ideas, new insights, new creative, you know, projects, new inspiration. So that is actually really cool that is the overall theme. Now, what is the wisdom or the message from our ancestors? Wisdom from our ancestors. Here we go. Wow, the moon. So this is about, this card itself represents facing our fears. And it's like about what lies underneath the surface. Emotions are like beneath, like sometimes you can feel things and you can not say anything and no one will know, you know, unless you're a 4 on the Enneagram, and then everyone will know, but because you can't hide it. But the moon itself, and the fact that this week the moon is going to be in its waxing crescent phase, which is water the seeds. Focus on the growth. Focus on that slow, like the light comes in little by little, and it begins to, eventually it becomes a full moon. And we will have, the next thing we'll see is a full moon in Libra. And then we'll see a new moon, a full moon in Aries. And then we'll see a new moon in Libra. So the moon is going to be important this week for some reason. And then what I shared about the moon and moving through Centaurus, which is a very shamanic, cleansing kind of death ritual vibe. And then also moving through Sagittarius, which is the Centaurus energy. But it's the centaur itself, but it's moving from the shamanic death ritual into the Sagittarian energy of like rebirth, coming alive again, like the phoenix that rises from the ashes, and then conjuncting Ophiuchus, right? The serpent bearer, and then Antares, the heart of the scorpion, and then eventually the galactic center. So the moon is important. They're saying pay attention to the moon, pay attention to all of those things, but essentially find ways to celebrate yourself this week, to just celebrate life this week, celebrate marriage, like celebrate the things that you're like marrying yourself to, that you're like soul contracting yourself to. And obviously you're only going to be able to celebrate if you actually are, you know, fully aware and you know what you're getting into. And that is like, though all of those are a choice. We get the crab this week, which kind of makes sense when the spirit guides are telling us to pay attention to the moon. But let's see if we get the crab here and we can read a little bit about it. Yes. Okay. It's safe to be vulnerable and let your guard down for those who have earned your trust. When it comes to knowing when to be vulnerable and when to put up your guard, call on crab. Discernment goes a long way in understanding the subtle undertones of human words and behaviors. Be observant of those around you and look for the signs that will indicate who is trustworthy and who is not. Know that you are always safe and protected, and you have the choice to let others into your world and keep them out. Learn how to set boundaries and say no when it is not safe or appropriate. Know when to let your guard down and reveal your vulnerability to those who have earned your trust. This will enable you to strengthen your relationships and go even deeper. Remember, crab moves sideways and is a reminder that sometimes a change in direction is necessary to get where you need to go. Important message right there for those of you who need to hear it. And I would love to go into and read you the message of the 18th Jinki that we're going to be moving into. The secret of the gift of integrity is to be able to hold your own space without reacting to your judgments or self-judgments. My gift to you. I am here to help you complete your childhood. Wow. It takes courage to uncover the wounds from your past. As you release yourself from the messages and modeling that no longer serve you, you will be free to see and receive the gifts from your parents with a soft, compassionate heart. When you are truly in your integrity, it won't be possible to make judgments of others personally or to identify as a victim of yourself or anyone else. This is not a path to be walked alone, so reach out for support. Allow a friend, therapist, mentor, or spiritual counselor to accompany you as you revisit those painful experiences that hardened your heart, made you feel inferior or superior, or kept you from expressing yourself freely and connecting deeply. Over time, you will learn to judge not from the mind, but from the heart. Wow, I love that. Judge from the heart. Well, notice it say judge from the mind, but from the heart. Yeah, I love that. I just got this quick, glance at the human design. Okay, so the 18th gate in the human design is in the spleen, which also means that, so we're moving from the G center to the spleen. So we're moving from knowing the sun, highlighting our sense of identity, our sense of self, knowing who we are, to intuition. Like now we need to start to trust our intuition and deeply. And it's there, and it's not the kind of intuition that you need to look for. It's just, it'll come at the right time. So Raessa says needed to hear that. I love that. All right. Well, let's close the records. From the deepest depths of our soul, we give gratitude and love, for we understand we are a fractal of that cosmic whole. As we give, so we get, open to all possibilities through all time and space. We walk through the Akashic portal back to our inner space, remembering that this wisdom lives within every cell of our being. Thank you, star beings, for holding this sacred space and for protecting us during this journey through time and space. The records are now closed. All right. Well, again, thank you all so much. Next Monday, I am most likely going to be traveling. And so there probably won't be a weekly, but I'll try to, there'll definitely be a newsletter, so you can count on that. But I just wanted to let you know, I may or may not, I may be traveling Monday or Tuesday back home before my big trip to Argentina and then Peru. So I just wanted to let you guys know things are going to get a little crazy, but I'm super excited about everything that's coming. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for supporting this channel. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, and come join us in our free community so you can share with us how the energy kind of unfolds for you in your own personal life. All right, Satnam, and see you next time.